This is Rob Talbot for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Shane McGUIGAN. A bit of a different vibe. It's a lockdown interview. How are you, Shane?
Good, thank you, mate. Yeah, good. I wouldn't say I'm enjoying things. You know, it's quite different. You know, I haven't been in the gym. My elbows have had a bit of recovery, and yeah, it's a bit of a strange one to be sort of in this industry and with nothing in sight and just kind of just getting through day by day in COVID. But how are you, mate?
I'm okay, mate. Thank you. There's a reason why, as we kind of briefly discussed before the start of the interview, that I'm keeping my face off camera at the minute. It's because I'm very much embracing the urchin life that you have to live in lockdown. But
I'm being interviewed by Chewbacca.
yeah, it's a different type of look. But I don't know. I think I'm going to keep growing it until we get out. But yeah, I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. I wanted to talk to you about that, really, about not just your elbows, obviously. Not my beard, no.
Yeah.
About you having a bit of a break. I always refer to the fact that you're one of the busiest people who I interview, who I come into contact with. You've either got a fighter that you're preparing, or you go from one camp to the other. It's been pretty full on for you for a number of years. Can you remember the last time you had this?
Yeah, I don't really remember the last time I had this. I mean, definitely not. I mean, I was just saying to Josephine, my girlfriend, that it feels like I'm back in camp, like when I was a kid. I used to live in Kent, and I used to get up, train, eat, watch a little bit of TV, go sparring, come back, and then I'd do my calisthenics in the evening. It's like all I'm doing is just maybe a 8-mile run or a bike ride or something like that, and then coming back and just sitting around watching sorry for the language, but watching some TV. Do you know what I mean? Or Killing Eve is at the forefront of our programs at the moment. You know, have you seen that one?
No.
Okay, you should get on it. It's quite good. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. Just and I'm sort of checking in with the lads. I got the group chat going, and there's more memes being sent around day by day. But yeah, we're all just in the same boat. I mean, it's quite infuriating. Had Luke Campbell scheduled to be fighting for a world title on the 17th of April. I had Lawrence Coley to be boxing either on the end of May or 20th of June on the AJ card for his world title for the WBO. So CBS was out in March, So sorry, in early May. Fowler was out in March, and he was going to be out again in June. So June, July, and we all just sat here twiddling our thumbs and waiting. What was funny is Lawrence was in the gym from early January, and everyone was training away, and it was like the joke in the gym was, oh, you're not going to be boxing to June. You might not even be boxing to September, and now everyone's in that. Yeah.
Being away from it all, I mean, you're not somebody who we've covered this before, watches a tremendous amount of boxing all of the time. Now you've had the time away. Are you thinking about boxing, or are you trying to just completely rid it from your mind? Is it difficult to separate kind of quarantine life with your previous life, as it were?
Yeah, it is. I mean, what I tend to do is I try to sort of build myself up, give myself some new information, learn new techniques and stuff like that. So I've been doing lots of reading about strength and conditioning, the human body. I don't really watch boxing because it just, it sounds arrogant, but it comes quite easy to me. I kind of just know how to break it down. I've been in the business for so long. I don't really want to learn. I don't need to learn from a specific boxer or trainer. I'm just, we learn together as a team, like myself and Luke, or myself and Lawrence, or Chris, or whoever, Fowler. That's how I work. I kind of pick up on their habits and what they're doing right and wrong. So naturally, that will fall back into place. It's just from an S&C standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint, from a supplementation standpoint, from the sort of holistic side of things, I've been just sort of immersing myself in. And then, and then just listening to just mad podcasts about David Goggins and how to push your brain through like certain barriers and how to overcome so much stuff. So yeah, I'm doing some different stuff, and I think actually the break will probably help myself as a coach and help my boxers.
Expand on that a little bit. You mentioned that's very interesting, kind of the podcast you've been listening to and stuff to kind of further and expand the brain or what have you. Explain that. Give us a little bit more detail.
Well, I remember ages ago, my dad he was always referring to this book like talent is overrated, because he always believed that talent is overrated and it's hard work and discipline, and he always didn't give himself credit for having a hell of a lot of talent and the right biomechanics and frames to be able to be so good at boxing. But I really do believe there is a massive element towards success in how much your brain is able to endure pain or overcome certain circumstances, and how to be able to be calm in situations. Certain people, we call them gym fighters, they're able to perform, they can do all the tricks in the gym, they look fantastic, but when they get on the main stage, they can't perform. So just learning, just not even just watching or learning in the boxing side of things, it's more actually just in different people's fields and how you can overcome adversity in extreme situations. And I think that's what boxers do on a day-to-day basis. They're constantly battling themselves, and obviously they're in against an opponent. But if you actually look at the 12 weeks of a training camp, it is battling yourself every day. The coach tells you what to do, and sometimes we as coaches can just do the same stuff all the time. Because I've learned so much about energy systems as a sort of student of like fitness and the human body over the years. Like, okay, this is the energy systems we need for boxing, but really, how much we're working on other aspects of your mental strength. And like you see Lomachenko doing it, he does so much like work on sort of concentration and breathing exercises and he's doing some eclectic stuff out there, but it's obviously working for him. And I think taking my ethos of training and try and tweak it a little bit, so I can implement a new few things.
Is that sort of I assume it's been more of a gradual thing, but how is that different now and kind of taking that approach now compared to where you were at the start of your training career? How are you different in that regard?
I think, the way I did it, the way Dad taught me was old school. Get up and run, go out and grind. And like, I was a real fit guy. So I always thought, well, fitness is a good thing, but you really need to work on your balance, your coordination, your power, and stuff like that. I mean, so a lot of my training is based around strength training, making sure they're structurally correct so they can not break down with injuries, and they can create power throughout the rounds. And obviously, with that, they have a very good base level of fitness. And then, I work with Darryl Richards, who's incredibly knowledgeable. I've since started. He's moved on. He's going into like more physiotherapy and stuff now. And then I work with Duncan as well. So Duncan Ogilvie, he's the latest guy to be recruited. And the strength and conditioning's always been quite similar, and the boxing's always been quite similar. The way I've structured it, I think I've designed. Working with Frampton, who was high tempo. He got his success from being high energy, high tempo kind of guy. And then to work with someone like George, you just couldn't train him like that. He was a real powerful guy. We needed to bring back speed with him. Over the years when he was away from Booth, when he was with Paddy Fitzpatrick, he worked a lot on his endurance. And I saw endurance training diminish a fighter a little bit. You could just see it from the outside. So you got to know what you're working with. But I think just as myself, it's become so much more specific and individual to boxers, to the specific boxer I'm working with. and now my gym's full of quite big guys. Do you know what I mean? Luke's the only sort of light guy in there. So yeah, I like a challenge. I like to sort of figure it out as I go and try and improve myself all the time. And I think over the years I've definitely probably do a little bit less with my boxers than I did, and it was a little bit more sort of specific to what they need. But I think now like I'll always keep that approach, but now I'm going to start doing some crazy shit, so the boxers they'll be excited about. Maybe the Rockies 5 a.m. runs might come out.
They're drinking raw eggs and stuff.
Well, they're getting a bit mentally weak.
I'm going to ask you a question now that I actually asked you in the first interview I ever did with you. But at the time you didn't really know me, so you didn't really give me a good answer. So now, huh?
What?
What? Well, I missed that, so people will definitely hear that. But anyway, so hopefully wasn't too bad. Right. So you mentioned kind of having the bigger guys in the gym now, and how you tailor your training and have adjusted it over the years to be more specific to that. Explain the differences for people who are watching about working with a small fighter like a super bantam like Carl, or a super middleweight like George, and even bigger than that when you've got your David Hayes and your Lawrence Okolis. How does it change from your perspective as a trainer, and what have you done to tailor things differently for those types of fighters?
I think it's just experience. I always work on technique, so I'm always working on how to get their technique and breaking down shots. But really, like, success comes from like understanding what their attributes are and brushing up on their weaknesses a little bit, but also trying to maximize their strengths, because everyone human beings, we all have limitations. So working towards maximizing themselves, and there will always be a certain aspect of things that one fighter can't do, for instance. Do you know what I mean? And being honest with fighters. So yeah, I mean, it's just become more specific, as I said earlier. It's just become more specific than who I'm working with, and I think working with a George was a real eye opener for me, because it was like working with a guy that had like 700 brake horsepower, but we had like half a tank of petrol. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, because not even that, it's just, say he had a full tank, but his miles per gallon were a lot less. So so we had to be very, very specific with what we were doing. And he had tons of heart, tons of balls, but because he generated so much power, it took him longer to recover. He was a power athlete. If I'd have had him in the gym and we were just training towards getting himself in shape, he would have been one of the guys that you could have done, you would have done like a lot of like explosive work with. Someone like Carl would have been like, okay, we just need to, let's go and like up the volume here and just loads of reps, little rest. So that, thinking about them as athletes, that's the way you got to design their punching program. So we had to sort of be able to fill the gaps and feints and moves and doing certain specific stuff. So yeah, I mean, everyone's different, but the boxer has to understand it themselves. It's like you can have this picture of the way they want to box, but if they don't understand it, then they go in there just swinging, and you're at a loss. And you have to have that rapport with the fighter to be able to break it down for them to say, okay, well, I know you might want to watch Manny Pacquiao, but you're not Manny Pacquiao. You are, someone that's a little bit more selective with their shots. So you've got to kind of tailor yourself and work towards your limitations.
Just want to go back to something that you mentioned before, because I'm sure there'll be people who will be picking up on what you said about not watching fighters and not watching fights now because of the time that you've spent in the sport and the experience you've got. Is that specific just to kind of times like this? I mean, I'm sure, and I know that you watch fights and
Watch
study fighters.
opponents, yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
watch fights. I watch the big fights and stuff, but I'm not like a massive boxing nut. Like I don't sit there, thinking, oh, I can't wait to watch Hagler Hearns for the 85th time. It's like that's not me. I'm not you, mate. You know what I mean? I like boxing, but I'm fascinated with other things, other sports and stuff. I think you can get some people can just get wrapped up in the boxing world, and it kind of closes their mind off to thinking about things from a different perspective when it comes to coaching. So that's always been my mindset.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy way to look at things.
And you don't burn out as well. Like honestly, as a coach or as a fighter, you just can burn out. Like if you just watch, like I think probably what it was is when I was fighting, I watched just endless boxing. Like all I ever did was just get up, train, come back, watch fights, spar, come back, watch more fights, and then get so excited for whoever De La Hoya versus, Mayorga or some shit. Like back in the day, I was like, I can't wait for it, But then you actually, your mind changes. But you got to understand that is as a learning stage in your life, and you just got to take that on. And you can kind of delve into it every now and again, but doing it all the time, you just burn out.
It's kind of where I was going to go next, really, before we start talking about the fighters and your fighters, is kind of the mental side of things. Because not only are you a trainer, of course, you manage fighters and you've guided fighters' careers over the years. The mental side of things, and particularly the business aspect of the sport, how much headspace does that take up, and how much energy does that drain from you alongside working with fighters in the gym, which is obviously a more physical exhaustion?
It is tiresome because opportunities don't come around that often in boxing. You have to work really hard, and you have to know the right people and the right connections to get yourself into those positions, and that can take away a lot of time that you need for preparation. So, I've always worked closely with my dad. I've always worked closely with my brother Jake, and I think I have a lot of trust in them to be able to sort of navigate people. So my dad's he's a fantastic matchmaker. He can design a path and get people from A to B, as you've seen with someone like Josh Taylor, Carl Frampton. These guys they built big exposures and they catapulted themselves through domestic and European up to world level really quickly, and at the same time creating an exposure. So, but that's the field that we live in. We live in, you can be a really good fighter like a Rigondo, but you can stick the place out, or you could be in against people that you're not looking that excited against, and your career goes nowhere. You might be winning titles and stuff, but you need the right fights at the right time, and you need the likes of Eddie Hearn, Warren, DeBella, Golden Boy, all these people to be able to work with you, Al Heyman, because they're the guys creating opportunities, and that's the unfortunate thing about boxing, is that it's very, very cliquey, and it does take and it consumes a lot of your brain, because you want the best for your fighters. You want the best for your fighters. You want the best opportunities. They expect and want the best for themselves, and you're in the position that you have to be providing that for them. So it's sometimes challenging when it comes to that side of things. But that's the world we live in. It would be the same in any industry that you're in.